What was Inspire's first version? How did the service function?
So Inspire essentially was an inspiration of a model that I saw in the US that I was very fascinated by, which is drop shipping. And for those that don't know what drop shipping is, essentially it's you as a seller have an opportunity to sell products that you don't physically own nor have purchased.
Right.
Nor are you storing, right? And all you have to do is build a website, figure out the marketing, market those products, and those orders get passed on to the drop shipping supplier or the drop shipping service. And they store the product, they hold the inventory. So when an order comes in, they pick it, pack it, and ship it directly to your customer. And you as the seller don't have to worry about buying inventory, renting warehouses, paying for staff, and doing all of the things that are required on an e-commerce operation, right? So for me, it was fascinating because I was just like, this just makes all the sense in the world. Like, who wouldn't? Especially in the Philippines.
Yeah, because a lot of Filipinos don't have capital to really start a business. So drop shipping is a really, really good model for them to sell something without really shelling out.
Yeah. So, and you know, at the beginning, it was, of course, understanding that I needed products to offer the drop shippers, right? Because without the products, nothing makes sense. Now, luckily, I had products that I had purchased and sold that already had phased out, right? Which is the reality of e-commerce. Products are, especially when you're not a brand, it's a lot of hype. Once that hype wears down, people aren't too interested in those products. So I had a good amount of products already that I could use as a starter. But luckily, and you know, I'm a firm believer of God works in mysterious ways. And, you know, again, just told you, come from a church conference. Shout out to Favor. But so I had two friends that were operating the e-commerce space, and they had around 10 million pesos worth of products. That and it was a wide variety of products that they couldn't sell anymore, and they didn't know what to do with them. So I just kind of offered the service. I'm like, hey, listen, I can take those products from you. I'm building a service around drop shipping. We can offer all of these products at a very low price to people. And essentially the model that I had was I would charge a subscription. So you would have to pay a subscription to access the products. And then we build a platform that allowed you to see the product catalog, import products to your shop, right? And really facilitate that whole aspect of understanding what was within our catalog. And I had a good amount of products, but those 10 million pesos worth of products really helped kind of
catapult.
Right? And have a wide range of product options that the drop shippers would be enticed to say, hey, I'm willing to pay the subscription to avail these products. And, you know, we did that. It was about a year and a half. Very early on, though, as a founder, you have to have a radical belief in your ability and the model, but you also have to be a realist and understand the limitations of what this model is. And I learned that very fast, right?
What happened in between?
We did get that model to around a few $100,000 in ARR, right? Dollars. So we had a few hundred subscribers. Subscriptions were roughly around 12,000, 10,000 pesos a month to access all of the products. But then I realized that the market that I was serving was a market of customers that the reality is that they weren't really committed
to sell.
Right? It sounded nice because everyone can say that I am a founder and I'm selling products, right? So it was a good kind of ego boost for a lot of people. But I saw early on is that, you know, our churn rate, which is essentially a person coming in, subscribing, and then stop after 2-3 months, would spike. It was like around 40%.
Kasi naman, like what he told us earlier, sa mga bosses natin dyan, dahil nga wala tayong nilabas na pera, the tendency is you're also not too committed or too much committed to that business. Because wala ka nga naman nilabas. And sometimes, Filipinos would need that a little bit of push when they know that they actually invested something in a product, which will make them really push further for the business.
And it would be too easy for someone to give up, especially if they don't see traction.
There's not a whole lot of skin in the game.
Yeah. That's true.
And that, and also is that a lot of people have this because like they were selling on different channels. They were selling on like Shopify. They were selling on Lazada and Shopee. And there's this misconception that on these marketplaces, all you have to do is list your product and then that it magically starts raining sales. Right?
Yes.
Where that is far from the truth.
That's true.
There's a science and a formula that is required to be able to actually make this work, right? And there's optimizations of your platform, and then
your
Lorikit, and your keyword research, and the images, and there's work that actually needs to happen. And man, I tried so hard, right? I did webinars, and I was just like, how do I teach these people, right? I built a community for Inspired Dropshipping of around 30,000 members.
Whoa.
I was doing a lot of work to like really expedite the learning curve of people. And also be like very realistic to them and said, hey, like, listen, this is not like you just wake up and sales start coming in. You need to work for it. So naturally, just based on the model, I just realized very early on that the type of clients and customers that we were attracting were the ones that weren't too serious about learning the craft and putting in the work. Right. And as soon as it didn't happen, it's like, oh, this is a scam. I'm not getting any sales. And like, I'm like, well, you haven't done anything. Right? You literally just listed the products on Lazada and then nothing else has happened.
Exactly.
Right? So that was one of them. And then the really, I guess, kind of hurdle that I think killed the business. I wouldn't say hurdle. It was kind of like the dagger that put us down, or that version of Inspire, is when the marketplaces started implementing that if you wanted to sell on these channels, you needed to have a DTI. You needed to be registered as a
eventually.
Right? This is when they implemented this. And you just saw 95, 97% of all of our accounts got banked.
Whoa.
Because none of these guys
were serious enough.
Exactly. They didn't have it, right? Because before you could literally register without having it.
Just an ID.
But then, then the marketplace said, hey, we're going to give you time and you need to make sure that you have this uploaded. If not, your stores will be disabled.
Right.
And we gave people the notice, and then no one pursued it because, again, not really committed to going through the process. And then about 95 to 97% of all stores got banned. And then that's kind of was the end of the drop shipping era for Inspire, right?
But wait, what made you feel after seeing 95% of your customers say bye to?
Yeah, I mean the feeling is not great. The feeling is a sense of shock of just what happened, right? Of course, sadness because you've been building this up for a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years, right? Of trying to get it set up. Putting so much work in training people and building a community and doing so many other things that I felt were necessary. So of course, when you're invested, right, from like emotionally, and you spend time on it, it sucks.
Yeah,
it really sucks.
That's true,
right? But then again, as an entrepreneur, you then have a decision to make. Are you gonna fold? Exactly. Are you going to because no one cares about your sob story.
That's
no
true.
No one's gonna come to rescue you.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not one that really puts a lot of I don't stick in a negative space, right? Mentally, of course I'm gonna experience it. But I have a tendency of getting out of it very quickly because I'm like, hey, no one cares. Move on.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Snap out of it.
That's what I was about to ask earlier. Have you considered quitting?
Yeah, I mean, quitting and saying, hey, I'm going to going back to corporate and going back to working for someone, never happening.
Yeah.
Right? So now it was just the point of, okay, well, I have to pivot. The famous words that if you are looking to the camera for this, for all of you guys, remind yourself of this word, pivot, because you will need to pivot. As part of any business journey, whatever your plan is, that dream of what you think is going to happen, it never usually ends up working the way that you think is going to.
Exactly.
Take note of that, mga boss. Learn how to pivot.
And you have to. If not, then you die.
Yes.
So it's either pivot or die. You make your choice.
Oh, boss. Deserve mo malaman ang buong kwento niyan.
Huwag kang mag-alala. The full episode is now up on YouTube and Spotify.
Follow us on our social media pages for more updates. This is Benta Bosses by Quotable AI.